I'm so excited about this bull run, and I am going to sell at the very, very top. Or at least that's what I want to do. Last cycle, I held on way too long, as I know a lot of us have. Or maybe this is your first bull run. Never experienced the euphoria. Everyone talking about crypto. Refreshing your portfolio, and it's up 10%, up 20%. You're telling the spouse, baby, we're rich. You like Rolex. I like Rolex. We like Rolex. But we often hold on too long, but what are some key metrics that we can look at to understand when we probably have reached the top and when it is a good time to get out? In this video, I want to go over past historical price action with Bitcoin, but we also have to know what causes all this liquidity? What makes this cycle actually happen? I want to go over a lot of key metrics, guys. Whether you're experienced in crypto or brand new, this will be a video for you guys. Let's get into everything of when I'm going to sell my crypto. But first, I want to welcome you back to Freeman Finance and Crypto, where if it makes money, it makes sense, guys. From the bottom of my heart, I'm truly grateful for every single one of you. But if you're not subscribed, please pause the video, hit subscribe. Hit that bell notification. Now let's get into the video. So like I said, a lot of us hold on for way too long. I did last cycle. And one thing I've learned is it's better to sell a little early than too late, but you don't want to sell too early. You don't want to be selling when Bitcoin still has 30K to go. The alts still have 5X left in them. We want to try to time this right. So the first thing we have to understand is what is going on. And this is the US liquidity cycle. This is actually global, but what we're looking at is the United States based one here. And my friend Peter talks about this a lot. But as you can see, where we are at now is the uptick of this liquidity. What does that mean? That means lower interest rates. That means money flowing into the economy. That money has to go somewhere, and a little portion of it will make its way to cryptocurrency, and a little portion moves crypto a long ways. But right here, what I want us to analyze is Bitcoin. This is the weekly chart, ladies and gentlemen, and these two big, tall lines are the Bitcoin halving. And as you can see on this one, from the Bitcoin halving to 217 days approximately is when the bull run started. As we can see, this Bitcoin halving 217 days is coming up to 2 days before Christmas, December 23rd. But when we look at this chart, something looks very different, doesn't it? So when we look at this, we could see that this one had a high before the Bitcoin halving. So I think whenever we're analyzing this cycle, we have to see what's different. What is going on this cycle that made us come to an all-time high? And what does that mean? Does that mean the cycle's over? Does that mean we're about to just tumble down here? Well, let's take a look at it. We had the Bitcoin ETFs, guys, and this is my theory. I don't have anything else besides this data to point out on it, but we could see in March timeframe right here, March through April, we had more ETF inflow than we ever have had with the ETF. And as you can see here, it's starting to pick up now. We're starting to get some of those dark candles. Well, March through May timeframe, where this is right when we got the pump, guys. Look at that, March and carrying on through April. So I think this was a couple things. I think there was billions of dollars flowing into Bitcoin, but there was also the hype for the Bitcoin ETF. So if the ETF had never came about, my theory is that we would still not be to all-time highs, and the cycle would look pretty identical to the last one. So when we look at this, I am basically thinking this is the floor. This would have been a continuation down here, and this is our new base for this bull run. And we also want to look at a couple other things that look different on this. As we could see, this is the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. All the way at the top tells us when something's overbought, and all the way at the bottom tells us when something's oversold. So the odds are when it's right here at the bottom, it's probably a good time to buy. And when it's all the way at the top, it's probably a good time to sell. And so as you can see here, it sold off and it went down here. And then we came up, had a rally here, and then it came down. And this is going all the way back to 2019. As you can see, this timed the peak right here, and it stayed oversold for a few weeks. And then it came down to the depths of the bear market. And here we are. We already reached a weekly RSI high during this time frame. Now, there's two ways RSI can be reset. One way is from the price going down. That's the quickest way. The other way is just consolidation, staying at the same price for a long period of time. And that's exactly what we've seen this cycle post halving. We have been staying in this channel right here with BTC. So everything looks like it's on track. It's a little different, but we just have to be able to understand what we're looking at, guys. And this is my opinion of what we're looking at. Now, as always, guys, on this ever financial advice, I'm Scott, slightly a degen and loves finance. So I could be completely wrong, but my theory is that these ETFs inflated the price, and this would not have happened had we not had the ETF. We would still be around this same price action. But what models the Bitcoin price? Now we're going to transition into something called the power law. This is mathematical equations onto what the price of Bitcoin will be. And Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency to follow this and has followed it throughout its existence. So I'm going to believe it until I'm proven wrong. So let's jump over to the power law. So we're looking at a couple lines here. The green line is what we call the fair value, okay? And then the red line is going to be the cheapest Bitcoin could get, and then the purple line is going to be the most expensive it can get, and then the yellow right here is the price of it now. So as you can see, where we sit today, the fair price of Bitcoin is about $110,000, with the high side being 400 and the low side being approximately 40. If we think that Bitcoin's going to top out sometime mid-2025, that would put us right here in the middle. And if we look at that, that's saying that Bitcoin should be at 120,000 fair value. Well, let's look at these cycles. We could see all right here that in almost every cycle, besides this last one, it hit the very top of that support band. It was way overvalued, and that is why it ends up coming down. But so if we look at this, we could say that Bitcoin could hit somewhere between this 122,000 and the 444,000. Now, we also got to think of the law of diminishing returns. As time goes on, returns will come down, but it's still supposed to be somewhere within that power law. And I'm a data guy. Until proven otherwise, I'm going to go off this data of the power law. So that's where we think Bitcoin should be. We know that we've compared Bitcoin to previous trends and looked at what's different this cycle to last cycle. But now I want to look at some other indicators that we can be looking at when we know that everyone's involved with cryptocurrency and it's probably time to get out. And some of the easiest ones is your grandma calling you, ask to buy some of them Bitcoins, okay? Everyone talking about it. When your friends start telling you how much money they've made, when people at work have started talking about if they've got into Dogecoin or anything like that, it's probably time to get out. But now let's look at some things in Web 2 that we can really look at to tell when we're coming to a market top. So this right here is SimilarWeb.com, and I'm just filtered on the finance app. And what I want to look at here is the #1 exchange in the United States of America, and that is Coinbase. As you can see here, it is actually down 2 spots. The usage rank is 20th. So when we start seeing this creep up here, you know, Cash App might still be #1, Venmo, but when we start seeing this creep into the top 5, and then when we see it being stagnant, not moving, when this says +1, -1, or just 0, that might be time to reach the top. These are normies, people coming into crypto. The first thing they're going to do is pick up this device and type in Coinbase. But what might come a little bit before that is even finding that Coinbase exists. So that's exactly where I get to this next one. This is Google Trends. Blue, we can see Bitcoin. Red, we can see Coinbase. In yellow, we just see crypto. And you can see all these match up. This is May 2021. Let's go back to Bitcoin. What was happening in May 2021? Look at that. A perfect top. The perfect top here happened with the peak of this watching. And even look at this. You see how this went down right here in the middle? That is exactly when this went down. Well, let's look at something a little more recent. If we see right here, this peak in March, what happened in March? If we look in March, that's when the big pump for BTC came. So I would want to look at what the numbers were back when this happened and look for a few multiple of that. If people are expecting the overall cryptocurrency market to go from 2.5 trillion, 2.2 trillion to 8 or 10 trillion, that means 3 to 5x more people will probably be in crypto. So this number that pegged out at 100, I'm looking for it to be around 300. It's going to be a lot more than this was now. We can look back at this previous cycle right here, and you can see how these pre-cycle pumps hit 25. Well, look at this pre-cycle pump. It hit 55. So it hit 1.5 times more, 2 times more. So at a minimum, we're expecting this to get to 200, going on 300. And so this is just some data that we can look at. This is very easy and completely free to look at. Something else. There's been a lot of election coverage recently in the United States. So I've been watching the news, and I haven't seen not one mention of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. When you're turning on the TV to check the weather and you hear Bitcoin reaching this price, Bitcoin at all-time highs, it's probably time to start keeping a close eye on crypto and look at taking your exit. But also some advice I have, if you ever are holding this device and you refresh it and it's life-changing money for you and your family, take care of the family. Take care of the family. I don't care what these trends say. If I ever have life-changing money on my phone, I'm going to make sure it's converted in a way that can take care of my family forever. So what have we went over in this video, guys? We went over why this cycle even happens, and it's the global liquidity cycle, and we're right here at the very beginning of it when we look at the yield curve. We went over what bases the price of a Bitcoin, guys. When we look at this, we think right now it should be following in the power law. We can always track how popular Coinbase is for normal everyday investors, and then just easy Google trends. Is your grandpa Googling how to buy Bitcoin? What is Bitcoin? Because once they Google how to buy Bitcoin, they're going to then run to their smartphone and type in Coinbase. But guys, I'm very interested to hear from you guys. What do you think the top of the bull run is going to be for Bitcoin? When we look at this, do you think it's going to be the 400,000, the 125,000, the 44,000, or do you think it's going to be something in between, guys? Watch this video up above. And if you're not a part of the Freeman F Finance family, what are we doing? Subscribe. I love you all.